Hello and welcome to interest.co.nz. I'm Gareth Vaughan with another of our double shot interviews, and I'm here at MasterCard with Albert Naffah, who is the country manager for New Zealand. Thanks for making some time for us, Albert.
Thank you, Gareth.
I thought it'd be good to have a chat around some of the technology developments around payments. We've obviously got the mobile wallet project going on in New Zealand, the TSM at the moment. Now MasterCard's involved in that. Can you tell us about where that's at and what's really in that for MasterCard?
Sure, look, that's progressing along really well now. It was subject to a lot of good, intense negotiations between all the stakeholders, the banks and the mobile network operators and others, but that is progressing well for a launch early next year, from my understanding, with the discussions with all those partners. I can talk to the benefits for all the stakeholders, and everything we do has to have the consumer at the centre. It's why we do these things, otherwise they just won't be successful. And for us, we see this delivering significantly enhanced convenience to consumers, not just when they're paying for their purchases, but across the entire purchase. And I'll talk about that in a sec. It's also delivering greater security to consumers and to merchants as well. And I'll give you an example of why. So today, the cards that we use, they're incredibly secure, and fraud in New Zealand is amongst the lowest of anywhere in the world. Consumers are responsible with the way they use their cards and how they protect them. Smart devices like mobile phones actually provide another layer to that security, because consumers can start to lock their payment device. They can put a PIN or a password on it. They can put various methods that ensure that it can only be used by themselves. So it's going to deliver that significantly enhanced security. The convenience, well, that's when we start talking about moving beyond payments and what this technology is going to deliver. So today, when you go to New World, you might have a coupon that gives you a discount on your particular shopping for that day. You will pay with your MasterCard, and then you'll present your Flybuys card to earn some rewards. And it's essentially 3 different interactions that you're having with the cashier. What the TSM is going to enable through the NFC technology, the near field communication technology, this really secure and convenient technology, is you'll be able to do all that. You'll be able to redeem your voucher, pay, and earn your Flybuys with a single tap of your phone. And you're then getting sent to your phone all the information you need, that detailed receipt captured electronically in the app, how many points you've earned, how many points you could have earned if you'd shopped in a different way. So it's delivering a bundle of information to the consumer, greater convenience and speed, and not to mention that security.
And you've also got a MasterCard MasterPass, product. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And it's been launched in Britain and Australia and I think US and Canada, and when that might be coming to New Zealand?
That's right. So MasterPass is our digital wallet. What that will allow you to do is store a whole number of different cards that work online, via e-commerce, in that wallet. And they're not just MasterCard cards. Any card that works online will be able to be stored in the wallet. You'll also put a bunch of your other personal information in it, like your home address, etc. And you can put, again, several address records. And what that will allow you to do is, whenever you see that MasterPass button on the payment page of an online retailer, and we're working really hard in the 4 markets that you mentioned, the US, the UK, Canada and Australia, to sign up all the leading merchants in those markets, and then we'll move into other markets, including New Zealand. Whenever you see that MasterPass button on the payment page, you can click on that button. It will ask you to confirm who you are, and that is with a secure password, and then it will populate all the information that's required to complete that transaction into the payment page. So your card information and your address information. And that's really important because particularly now, because more and more people, in fact the majority of internet connections in this country here in New Zealand are via a mobile device, and entering all that information repeatedly on a small screen can become quite cumbersome, and online retailers are losing significant amount of business mid-transaction, because people are just getting fed up with all the information that's required to complete a transaction. The MasterPass wallet allows you to, just with a single tap of that or click of the MasterPass button, populate all the information, and complete the payment. So you only enter that information into your wallet once, and forevermore, whenever you see that MasterPass button, it will sort of auto-complete the payment page for you in a secure way, because again, you'll have to authenticate yourself every time you use it online, which again is a lot more secure than what you do today when you shop online. When you shop online today, you enter your card number and your personal information. There's no challenging to ensure who you are, who you say you are. There's no PIN that you enter. So this adds an extra layer of security. When's it coming to New Zealand? Well, we're pretty confident it'll be in New Zealand next year. There's a great amount of work that has to be done every time we're rolling it out to market, making sure that those online retailers have got the technology built into their payment page, and there's a fair amount of work that's done there. We also work with our banking partners because the MasterPass wallet will be distributed through them to their end customers, whoever they might be. So that will happen next year. If you want a sort of a real life example of what it looks like, many people are familiar with PayPal. This is PayPal, but even better, because it is an open wallet. It will allow you to store multiple card types in there and self-select those card types every time. It's a really convenient service that we're bringing to this market.
And as you work with the banks and the retailers, towards the rollout of I guess the mobile wallet firstly, and then MasterPass after, I assume, will come after that in New Zealand. I mean, how are they reacting? I mean, with some of the retailers in particular, are you having to sort of drag them kicking and screaming towards some of this new technology, or are they quite open to it?
Look, like with any new technology, any new product, you need to have a conversation so people understand the value. Obviously, there's an education process that happens with retailers and with consumers, and we work with various stakeholders to ensure that the education process is happening. When you talk about where the world's going, and the fact that we've been working with retailers now for the last couple of years, for example, for them to accept cards, our cards through PayPass, our contactless technology, our tap and go technology. And many of them have been early adopters and say, look, we appreciate that this will make the transaction faster, it makes our customers happier, it's the world's cutting edge technology and security, we want to do it. Others, however, said, well, we're not really that interested in making the transaction faster. In fact, we want customers to linger longer in our stores. We're a high-end fashion retailer or an electronics distributor. We're not about speed at the checkout. When you talk to them about, but your customers are going to be coming in the next year wanting to pay with their phone, and this technology, which today is supporting contactless card payments, it's exactly the same technology that will allow your customer to pay with their phone. Then they start to, the penny drops, and they say, we know that those customers actually probably are amongst the more affluent, those who spend more, and we want to make sure that we're offering to them services and convenience that they want, because we're in a competitive environment. And it becomes a very different conversation. And we've had really, really good traction in this market. So New Zealand sort of come a bit later to contactless payments than, say, a market like Australia or Canada. And we're still, earlier on the journey, but we're very confident, particularly with the TSM coming on board next year, and the ability to get an NFC phone and load your payment cards into that phone becoming a standard ability in New Zealand, that New Zealand will surpass those other markets that have sort of had a bit of a leapfrog. They'll leapfrog those markets, absolutely.
In terms of contactless payments, there's obviously been a little bit of negative publicity around that technology, both with Visa cards and MasterCard ones. I guess with some people saying, they've been charged twice, or it's been picked up in their pocket when they haven't even been trying to pay for something. I mean, are these fears around safety with that justified, and are these just teething problems or symptomatic of something worse?
Look, there's no doubt there are some teething problems, and that again just comes down to education, and we've seen these similar problems in the other markets where we've gone ahead of New Zealand, and they are very much teething problems, and they disappear very quickly. In fact, when you talk to retailers today, some of the concerns, some of the issues that we're seeing with consumers at the point of sale only a couple of months ago have disappeared. And that's just going to happen with education. And that education that we're delivering and our partners are delivering will be directly to consumers by the banks. It'll be through the retailer, so that their staff are actually helping their customers use the technology and make sure they're aware how to use it at the point of sale. So that is an ongoing process. And then when you bring in phones and NFC, we'll have to continue that process of education. So we're very confident that a lot of those teething problems will disappear, and they've actually already started disappearing. But you've also got to separate some of those real problems from the mythical ones. And there are people who are trying to put certain fears out there because they're trying to sell you a particular solution to that problem. The technology is designed, tested thoroughly, again and again, in every merchant environment before it's turned on. A card will not work if it's more than 4 centimetres away from the point of sale terminal, which is why we use the tagline tap and go. You essentially have to tap the card for it to work. You can't be holding it in your handbag or in your wallet and it activating a payment. That's just not possible. The other thing that can't happen is a transaction will not be processed twice with a single tap. A terminal is unable to handle more than one transaction at a point in time. If a transaction's processed twice, it's because the card's been presented twice. And again, that's user error, and that will go as we educate people and people get used to the technology. The technology is very, very secure. It uses the latest encryption. It's the same technology that we have in the chip cards that have been in this market for a long time. That's technology that's better than your FPOS card. Your FPOS card is using magnetic stripe technology that's 40, 50 years old now. PayPass technology works off a chip platform, which is the latest, cutting-edge, most secure technology available for payments.
Now, the big move to the digital society is obviously bringing big changes for credit card companies like MasterCard. There's obviously a lot of opportunity in this, but I guess maybe some threats as well. But I'm thinking that you're probably going to say that the opportunities outweigh the threats. Can you give us a bit of get your crystal ball out and tell us perhaps when do you think we'll be in a situation where most people in New Zealand aren't using plastic cards anymore, they are using mobile wallets? I mean, that technology is going to be available next year.
Yeah.
And what else might we be doing in the future with MasterCard?
So let me address one of those points first. The opportunities definitely outweigh the threats if you understand what those opportunities are and you act to take advantage of them. It's now so much easier for a new entrant to come into our space and to displace us and to win the affection of our customers. They become our former customers and we disappear. And you've seen that in the technology space in other segments already. You look at, for example, Nokia in the mobile phone space. They were the leader only 2 or 3 years ago, and they're now a distant number 10 in the marketplace because they didn't really appreciate the smartphone opportunity, and they're suffering. You look at their workforce has shrunk by 2/3 just over the last 2 years, and we just need to ensure that doesn't happen to us by continually investing in new technologies, trying to understand what consumers want. So you called us a credit card company. That's how we were born almost 50 years ago. We're definitely not that anymore. We are now a payments technology company. And we are thinking and operating like a technology company, and you have to anticipate consumer trends and demands, and that's what we're doing. And it's not just on the payment piece. So it's around helping that whole purchase experience. The purchase doesn't start with the payment, and it doesn't end with the payment anymore. It starts with the inspiration about an idea, then you go into the research and the planning, then you make a decision, and then you pay, and then you experience, and then these days you're sharing that experience with your friends via various social networks. And what we're ensuring is that we can support our partners because we deliver our services, our technologies through our partners, whether they be banks or telecommunications companies or retailers, is we're supporting them deliver additional value at any one of those pieces in that life cycle of a purchase, which is why we're investing really heavily. We've got a labs division, MasterCard Labs, which is 100% focused on developing solutions not for today or tomorrow, but for 5 to 10 years from now. That is their horizon. Anything that is they think will be of interest to consumers in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years, the horse is bolted as far as they're concerned. They should have been developing that 3 or 4 years ago, so they're focused on 5 to 10 years from now. And so, we talk about things like phones today. I'm pretty confident that in New Zealand, a good chunk, and when I talk about a good chunk, probably talking 30 to 40 to 50% of all transactions will be done using a smartphone in the next 2 to 3 years, and that will be world leading, because the TSM initiative in New Zealand is world leading. There is no other market in the world that has developed a TSM solution that covers all the banks, all the customers of banks, and all the customers of all the mobile network operators. That is world first. And it had to be a world first because of a market like New Zealand with 4.5 million people. You needed that coopetition, that combination of cooperation and competition, which is what the TSM solution is. And that will then deliver a fantastic service to consumers. And I know Kiwis are early adopters, and they'll take it up and they'll be using it frequently. They'll still need that plastic in their wallet for when they travel overseas, or that rare merchant in New Zealand that won't accept or hasn't yet updated their technology. But more and more will just be using their phone. Now, if I was to take my crystal ball out, in fact, if I was to steal the crystal ball that our Chief Innovation Officer has and look into it and say, what's the world look like in 10 years from now, we'll be beyond phones, we'll be beyond devices. And we're already seeing some good pilots and testing that sort of uses facial recognition and biometrics and those sorts of things, which, again, are a whole lot more secure than a phone, which is very secure, as I mentioned before. So we'll be moving into that space, and again, the payment will become something that you don't even realise is happening. It's sort of in the background. It's because it is that grudge piece of the whole purchase life cycle. You love the inspiration, the idea, you love the experience, you love sharing with it. No one really likes paying, no matter how wonderful the experience they're paying for. So if we can sort of send that to the background and people don't even have to think about it, then I think that's a great end result, and that's what we're working on.